What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at a 2018 Porsche 911 GT3 and see what it's like to drive one of these cars. Huge shout out and thank you to HBI Auto for providing this really sweet Porsche for today's video. Check them out, I'll have their website linked down below in the description. They have a huge selection of exotic cars just like this Porsche, so definitely check them out. So we're going to take a quick look inside and out of this GT3 and then take it for a spin and see what it's all about. Starting out with some of the performance for this GT3, the engine is a rear-mounted 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6 engine. This thing cranks out 500 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque, and it is paired to the 7-speed PDK automatic transmission, sending all the power to these rear wheels. And unfortunately, this is all you can see of the engine. We just get some fans and some intake ducts. You do get a little bit of carbon fiber and a nice little prop rod right over here that you can prop up this engine compartment. Closing that now, you can see the massive wing in back. We get the Porsche written out, twin exhaust right in the center. This is such a clean looking car. I definitely love the way the side profile of a Porsche 911 looks. We do have these steel brakes on here with the red calipers. Of course, the carbon ceramics are available for about a $10,000 upgrade. This car also has a really large trunk. I actually had my lunchbox and 2 camera bags in the front, and they all fit nice. So you could actually use this as a daily driver or even go on a nice trip. We can close this front bonnet lid, lock it down, and then one look at the front view. This is such a clean looking car, especially finished off in black. We get a nice front splitter and a lot of openings in the front to allow cooling to enter this front bumper to get to the front mounted radiators. And then taking a look at the silhouette, classic look of course as you'd expect, and I love the big wing you get on the back and even the massive intake ducts you see on the back of this engine compartment. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at the interior now. This is a really clean spec on the inside, just like we saw outside. We have black alcantara, black leather, and red stitching everywhere. Beautiful look. I love all the leather, carbon stitching, nice and premium looking. And one of my favorite features, we even get a fire extinguisher mounted into it. And then you can get a look at the basic seats. These do have power controls on the side. However, they are manual for front and rear sliding, but they look really nice. And then now inside, if I go ahead and insert the key to the left, I can turn the ignition on. We get all the analog gauges as well as a digital screen. And then we do have a touchscreen system right in the center for all the normal aspects of the car. Pretty simple to use, as you can see. You do have a lot of actual buttons as well, so I like the aspects of that. We have all your climate controls down here, and then pretty simple coming down here, we just have the exhaust valve. We have a traction control, suspension, and the PDK Sport. A few blank switches for other options like front and lift. And then moving to the back, the GT3 does not have any rear seats, so we just get a really huge shelf back here with some alcantara along the center. So then if I keep my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. Now that is one good sounding Porsche, and I am really excited to drive this thing and even do the POV and really see what it's like to drive this car. And then finishing up in back real quick, we have a Soul exhaust, so that's why this car sounds even better than a stock one. But anyways, that is a good look at the Porsche GT3. Let's take it out on the road and see what it's like to drive. So we are now in the Porsche GT3. The exhaust makes some good noises as well. That's just getting up to 50 miles an hour. Getting my bearings with this car. I've really never driven too many Porsche models, to be quite honest. Never been in a GT3. So this car is a really good mix. I'd say kind of in the middle. It's not a crazy GT3 RS or a GT2 RS. It's not the fastest, most track-focused car. But this particular spec, of course, being a GT3 with no rear seats, you still know you're in something that is more focused towards performance driving. Since we don't have that back there, you can get these with a bucket seat and even a roll cage, so you can spec them out to be a lot more track focused, and you can get a manual transmission. This PDK is already shifting super quick. We're into 7th gear, just kind of cruising. The visibility in these cars is amazing. If you look at any supercar, nothing beats what you get in this car. You have a huge bubble that you're inside of, a lot of glass all around to look out. Over your left and right shoulder, there's pretty much no blind spots. The only hindrance is the wing. It's right in the center of my rear view mirror, but even though that's there, if you kind of move your head up and down, you can still see above it and below it, so it's not that bad. But in it, the comfort aspect, we're just in the normal mode. You have two different modes for the suspension as well, so keeping us into the normal. It is a really comfortable, smooth car, actually. It absorbs all of the bumps. There's no road noise or anything like that. There's no wind noise or anything. It's just the exhaust that you hear, of course, because it's modified. But really smooth to drive. The brakes, we have the steel brakes instead of the carbon ceramics, which I think they're probably going to do just fine. A slow acceleration up to some speed. Very smooth the way the transmission shifts. You don't feel any gear changes whatsoever. I think a lot of people really rave on the PDK system that Porsche has, and it really does do a good job shifting super smooth. So we can put this over into manual mode and shift with the paddle shifters. And then let's go ahead and up the suspension and the exhaust tone. And then the PDK Sport, that'll make the transmission a little bit sharper as well. But this already just feels really, really tight, and the attention to detail on the interior, everything is perfect. There's nothing cheap about it. You do get quite a few buttons right in this center area, but once you kind of pay attention to what they actually say, it's really not that hard getting used to. So quick. Wasn't like pedal to the floor or anything, but that is so quick the way that transmission shifts, and that sounds amazing. I have no clue how a little 6-cylinder engine can sound like a V12 Lamborghini. I don't understand that at all. This sounds amazing for sure. So far, it doesn't feel like it's the most powerful car out there. Of course, it's not a turbo version, but nonetheless, it still, of course, picks up and moves. The steering and handling, I think, is what you're really going to be buying this car for. If you want more power and straight line performance, of course, go for a GT2. Get the turbos on there, you know, get a Turbo S or something. But this car is all about just the refinements and how it feels when you're taking some turns. The transmission is so quick to respond. And I mean, it just really does everything you want when you're taking a sharper turn. Hitting the brakes, the downshift. Is just so responsive feeling, and I love how tight it is. There's no loose ends with it. Everything seems to be very well balanced. I think that's what the GT3 is all about. It's all about that balance of a sports car performance vehicle. You have adequate power to get up and go. I mean, obviously 0 to 60 time is pretty darn quick, and it's a near 200 mile an hour car. But it's when you're not in a straight line is when you're really showcasing what this car has to offer. Because when you hit a turn in it, or anything where you gotta maneuver, this car just is like a go-kart the way it handles. And I like how even in the performance modes like this, it's still nice and comfortable, and you can absolutely daily drive this. Nice firm suspension hitting some bumps. Yeah, definitely really cool. If we tone down the suspension, you can definitely tell that it's a little bit softer now, hitting all the bumps, a little bit more forgiving. And if we tone down the exhaust, transmission, back to automatic mode, the car definitely softens up. The steering is much smoother now. This is really cool. We'll do everything back into the fun modes. Oh, those brakes actually do a pretty good job too for being the steels. Man, I actually like this car a lot. It just feels like a go-kart, but an extra refined go-kart. Sounds this makes, oh my gosh. So that was more of a full throttle acceleration, not quite just yet since it's not my car. It's definitely not the fastest thing. It doesn't really throw you back in your seat, but again, it's not what this car is about. And I think it's cool that Porsche makes like a million different 911, so you can really get exactly what you want. This car, like I said, this is about the handling, the turns, the fun factor, not about the speed and straight line acceleration. But man, you take this steering and handling feel with this sound and this transmission, and that is one heck of a package in this car. Alright, we are in the GT3, one heck of a car already. I'm really enjoying it, I really am. While it's not the fastest car out there, I really like just how everything feels with a car like this. And the clutches, I like the engagement. it doesn't feel like an automatic. You know, it really does feel like a dual clutch. It feels mechanical, exactly what I would expect from a sports car. Obviously, I've driven hundreds of sports cars at this point, and I'm not the fan of torque converter automatics, and some dual clutches kind of take away the fun factor, especially from a manual. Personally, I'd buy a manual just because I love that aspect, and if it's available, I'm not gonna say no, but this is an amazing dual clutch, and I would absolutely be happy with this transmission. So we'll get up to some speed a little bit. That sounds insane. And that was only up to 60 miles an hour. Like, literally, you don't have to drive this car fast to enjoy it. And that's something I like. Some cars out there, like maybe a twin turbo McLaren or something with that power, even my GTR, you get up to triple digit speeds without even thinking, to where it can just be so illegal when you want to have fun. This car, you don't have to break speeds to really have a lot of fun in it. And I think that makes this a really good blend of what I would consider a really good daily drivable car. You could use this all the time, and you don't need to get a GT3. You know, you could tone it down a little bit, get yourself some back seats. But I like how it's a car that you can really use on the street. And once again, not even breaking the speed limit. I think that is a really good plus for a car like this, because obviously you can get a GT2 RS, you know, something that's going to hit 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, hit 100 without even thinking. This car is going to take a minute actually to get to 100 miles an hour. So I like how you could use this car out on the road. You can take this to the mountains, the back roads, and actually have a blast and use the revs. You can shift up towards redline. You know, we're only getting up to around 7,000 today. If I owned the car, I'd be redlining this a few times just to really hear it. You know, you don't have to get the fun out of the car by going fast. You can get the fun out of it by going at a reasonable speed, but just taking the turns without touching your brakes. That's why you don't even need the carbon ceramics. You're not going to use them. You can just hold the speed. And I cannot get enough of the sound. I have no clue how Porsche does that with this car. The exhaust, of course, the upgraded exhaust makes it sound even better than I'm sure a stock one would. But how does a little 6-cylinder do that? I am addicted to that noise. Gosh. I really am enjoying it. I really am. And I love how Porsche does offer so many cars. You know, you could tone this one down, maybe just get a GTS even, and probably get a similar experience with a little bit more dailyable aspects. But the GT3, this is one heck of a fun car to drive. I don't want to give it back. I actually just want to keep going. I want to head to the mountains. So I got about a 2-hour road trip is what I need to do in this car right now, because this is what this car is about. Just driving it and having a smile on your face, as you guys have seen earlier in the video. But anyway, I think that's about it then for the 2018 Porsche 911 GT3. I've never been in one, and I hope I am in another one again because I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I think this car is making me maybe take another look at Porsche as a fun car to pick up. You know, one day I want a Lambo or something like that, but this car has a lot to offer. You guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and then definitely check out HBI Auto. They have an insane selection of awesome cars just like this, so check them out as well. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video.